So last time you all had embarked on a journey to the crypt of a noble of Cardalon. And you discovered the crypt, and you, as you had mentioned, Darren, you borrowed some things, and were set to flight by horrible spiders the size of ponies. And probably worth noting as well, after you were driven out of the tomb, some tension grew within the group. First of all, Dontharai seems increasingly like distant. There's there's already a distance like between you and this ancient elf, and but that only seems to grow faster. There's something changing in Dontharai, and it was Paco who wrapped up the ancient, wondrous Dunedain sword. But while trying to pick a lock, Glorifarn, the Dunedain, took the blade and hasn't given it back and refuses to. Oh, now it's lost connection. I'm starting to think that you're right, Alex. Yep, there it goes. Oh well, theater of the mind tonight. So, and Paco also took a gem from the crypt. Celifarn made a couple of comments about people taking things. There's some tension in the fellowship as you return, otherwise unhindered, to Bree. And so that is where you are now. Actually, I have to, I have all my stuff on this, so I have to log out and come back in as the Lord Master. Cannot believe that Tillskill did that. I may have to switch to web hosting. Or Roll20. It's like the Godfather. Every time I think I'm free of Roll20, it pulls me back in. Okay. So, here you are, back at the Prancing Pony Tavern. And, as always at the Prancing Pony, it's not very, well, you aren't in the VTT, but, it is, this place is immaculate. It's one of the nicest taverns you've ever stayed at, actually. And the food is just amazing. And but the food and the rooms are the same cost as any other tavern. But it's fresh. The soups are great. And they have fresh meats and fowl and quail and eggs. They have dwarven butter, which is like the creamiest, most rich, delicious butter. Except the beer, which does taste off. And tonight, it's been about a couple of weeks, maybe like 3 weeks total since you first came here, right? So you left, you came back, and then you waited about a week and a half, and Gandalf made his way back through. And you see Gandalf speaking to a hobbit as you come in. Ah, yes. A male hobbit dressed very well. And they're laughing and seem to be exchanging stories and having a good time. And you also see that there are travelers that have come by tonight, and they are complaining about the beer to the tavern keep. And that is what you see when you come into the Prancing Pony.
Overhearing this discussion of the beer, Celopharn will approach the travelers that are speaking with the tavern keeper, and he will wonder aloud, hoping to get a reaction from these travelers as to whether the beer is always this terrible.
They claim to have come from Fornos. They are two men, traders. They say that they helped to they helped to guard a man that comes through and trades here regularly, and the pay was good. This is the first time they've taken this job, and no, this beer. It tastes quite odd. It must be something in the water, or something that they do to the ale. It makes me wonder about the brewmeister of this place.
Paco has already connected some dots from last encounters, and he's going to talk to Butterbur a little discreetly about the beer situation and get more information and find out who the brewmaster is. And if the Butterbur would allow him to investigate a bit further. And he's listening to the conversation his comrade's having, of course. But...
hello again, Miss Master Pickle Tickler. Welcome back. Please don't trouble my brewmaster. I apologize. If you have any trouble with the ale, it's on me. He just looks stressed out and distraught. He's a very, what's the word? Well, I'll just say anal man. And he runs a very tight ship, and this place is all flawlessly cleaned, and the food is always perfect. The rooms are spotless, and this disorder is troubling him greatly.
See. I will sit down and order a whiskey, and then still listen to my comrades talk, because now I'm a bit perturbed. And Butterbur's a bit of a stick in the mud, but what's he? He can't be ignorant of the fact that his beer smells of skunk.
What's your treasure level? I can't remember.
Question. That would be, oh, it says 0 right now.
That can't be right. It has to at least be like 2 or something. It has to be at least like comfortable for a hobbit. Well, no big deal. You got some treasure last time. We won't do all that we won't try to figure that out right now. You've got some treasure. So, purchasing some whiskey that is kept aged off the shelf is no trouble for you at all. It would be for a common, person perhaps, but you have some money. Actually, I have the price listed here. Food. Oh, wow. Surprised at how cheap it is. It's like a couple of gold coins. Well, anyways, he raises an eyebrow at your request, noticing your change in wealth. And you put the gold coins on the counter, and you are poured some well-preserved whiskey, which does taste spicy and flavorful, and warms you.
Thank you, good innkeeper. And again, if you need some assistance in any matters, and I take a sip of the whiskey, it's not off, is it?
No, but this is a preserved drink. You know, he keeps it. This is a nice drink. It's probably been around for a couple of years, at least.
Ooh. 15-year stock?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he you can tell he's suspicious of your sudden change in wealth. But he says, to tell you the truth, now that you mention it, I could use some help, actually.
You have my ear?
I can't go on like this. It's spring now, but once the autumn fair is coming up here in a couple of seasons, if it goes on like this, why, I'll get a reputation. And the Butterbear family, we've been the talk of the surrounding kingdom for generations. Our food and our drink. Never mind, it's quite troublesome anyways. Why the hops taste so badly? Perhaps you could go speak to the miller. Maybe something. Maybe it's something that was brought in and ground into the grain and then put in the granary. Let's see, the miller.
Ah, a foul ingredient or some additive. Ooh, how nefarious.
The issues might be local, Cellophane says aloud. And he says, at first I was wondering if there was subterfuge from afar. Does most of the grain in this town of Bree, does it come from locals? It isn't brought in from other parts in the kingdom?
Well, that's just it. Sometimes grain is brought from outside, but we've never had any trouble since I've run this tavern. With what grain is brought in, I mean, we trade with the dwarves in the Blue Mountains. They trade in grain. Fornost,
Any issues with the grain would be... the issues with it would be widespread. They would cover many different areas. If the grain in Bree is... Cellophane holds his tongue for a moment and then speaks in a hushed voice. If the grain were tainted.
Yes, that's why I thought perhaps you could speak with old Bill, the miller. He receives grain from outside of town, also from the farming families up on the hill. So perhaps he would have noticed if anything strange had been brought to the mill.
Good man. We'll sniff around. Me and my tall friends were very clever, you see. Now, in a more sensitive matter, I'll speak quietly. Is there anybody in town that has brought your notice, or somebody who holds a grudge? I noticed your stable keeper has not kept his duties up to par.
Oh. If you ask me, I think that, I don't mean to speak ill of a man, but, John, I think, drinks more than his father did. And that's saying something. That stable has absolutely gone downhill. Come to think of it, it's caused some trouble, as travelers aren't stabling their horses. I usually offer some extra, if charge, and John will make some money from stabling horses for travelers that come by here. they end up leaving them out in common barns, asking farmers, and just leaving them outside sometimes. It's really made it hard for the person that depends on his business the most, old Bernard Mossy. You know, tack is the main course for needing a blacksmith in town. I haven't seen Barnar for a while, though. But I know they've been at odds for a while, saying one owes the other money and so forth. But that's a matter that you have with the east side of town, and I don't mean to speak ill of anyone, but you know, the East Row and the East Gate is where the travelers come through, and some people set up in town outside south of the hill, and well, they're not from here, and they don't know folks, and people can't speak for them. Those are just the sort that John Fernie deals with and drinks with.
Say no more. Those Eastenders.
They're
mostly good folk.
Celefarn thanks the tavern keep, and he kind of puts an arm in front of Paco, and kind of tries to pull him away. Like, let's not get into an argument with the tavern keep about who is what and who is where. Try to pull Paco back to our companions, Glorifarm and Anthrai, and what do you two think of this, Glenn, Rainey? What do you guys think? Which of these? What's your take on the situation? Where do you guys think would be pertinent to search for, or rather, which route to go down? We've heard about this. We've heard about old Bill the Miller. Sounds like a trustworthy person. However, this Fernie, the blacksmith, I think they were. Perhaps not as much.
Bernard,
okay.
Makes sense for the supplier to be the one to be suspect first. But where have they been getting the grain from? Where is it grown?
Well, they say it's grown up by the farmers on the hill and brought to the miller, if I recall correctly. So, most likely the majority of it is from this miller.
But we should see which farmer are growing the wheat as well, to see if the culprit is from the earth itself.
That's true. And if we see that nothing is coming, if we see that the taint is not from the earth itself, then that's wise. That speaks directly to there being sabotage. Okay. Well, if you guys like the sound of that, let's I think that's a good idea. Let's try to find the farmers who are responsible for growing and tilling the grain itself.
There's gonna be like dozens and dozens of them.
They talk amongst each other though, so maybe I think it's a good path. Maybe just gathering information from them.
So, well, and first of all, it's the evening. It's dark outside. So probably you've already gotten rooms. That's all been settled, and you've already had and gotten food. But Gandalf, after his conversation ends with this well-dressed hobbit, motions you over to the same table that you spoke with him last time.
Hey.
Does he send the hobbit away, or is the hobbit still with us?
The well-dressed hobbit walks off.
Not recognized.
How familiar is Paco with Bree? How does he come here a lot? And is he really familiar with the place?
Not a lot.
You probably would not know him then.
Okay. So I go sit beside Gandalf, and I had some whiskey, so feeling good.
Ah, Patrick Pickle Tickler. Oh, it's good to see you again. Please, take a seat.
Gandalf, good to see you. Quite an adventure.
Oh, you did? But, tell me of your adventure. Now, we already recapped, but, you can tell him, what happened. Is there anything that you conceal and don't tell him?
Well, I mean, it's common knowledge that I took some jewelry, so I wouldn't hold that back. There's no secrets particular.
If you reveal that you took jewelry, he looks at you, and kind of looks past you with a vacant look of sorrow. And, you all show him the blade?
Yes, show him the blade.
Okay. Put the blade on the table and unwrap it. It gleams, just like when you first saw it. No rust has touched this sword in 1,000 years. And, his eyes widen, and he says, "Oh, stars, this is a Numenorian blade. None are made like it in the world, nor have any been made in centuries past." Where did you found this in the crypt, then?
And many more like it.
I see.
Perhaps not of the same luster. This was in the deepest chamber, the room of most reverence within the crypt.
This and that crypt could only be the blade Misseltine. It is a legendary sword gifted by Isildur to one of his sons, passed down into the last days of Arnor, when the kingdoms fell in the last battles against Angmar. And also, you got like pieces of armor and stuff like that too, right? And it has like the inscriptions on it. He looks at the armor and the pieces of things you took from the sarcophagus, the sarcophagi, more than one, and he says, "I must study this. I must take this to those who are more learned, to libraries. I think I know just who would know."
While he's saying that, I put the bow and I think I got a spear too on the table, so you can take these as well.
Yeah, he just smokes up a storm. Pipeweed smoke fills the table around you. You get the slight hint that there's enough smoke that it almost obscures the table. And he seems to be poring over the symbols on these weapons. And he, I can tell you, so, Glenn, can you hear us? Uh-oh, we can't hear you, Glenn.
Hello?
Yeah, now we can hear you. Hey, Glenn. It's good
Awesome.
to hear. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. So last session, in a moment of weakness, Paco had this legendary sword, and he asked you to hold it because Paco had to pick a lock, and you failed a shadow test, and now you're bound to this mighty ancient sword, and like, yeah, and you have like all these shadow points and stuff. Out of character, Gandalf is able to tell you this is Mistletoe, and he can tell you this is just, I guess, just to give you the mechanical aspects of it, Glenn. This sword is wondrous, mannish, Numenorian, and it has blessings in awe and battle. That means that whenever the sword is used to awe someone or used in battle, you add +2 dice, 2d6s.
Oh man.
It also has the foe slaying feature. Let's see. I think foe slaying, without looking at it, we can look at it later. But I think when you strike a creature that is baned, which is Gandalf can tell you that the creatures that are bane that this weapon is a bane for are those who should be dead. That is to say, wights and things like wights. Anyways, when you strike such a creature, I think they automatically fail their protection roll if you do something like a piercing blow or whatever. And I think that you can also use this weapon as to do a magical success on the two things that it has a blessing for. It has a curse, so your character would not know this, but it's already becoming apparent to those around you. It has the curse of weakness. What is your shadow path?
My shadow path is Curse of Vengeance.
This weapon brings that out, the worst in you. And at certain times, you'll act based on that shadow path when you use and wield this weapon. Which we'll look into more later. And then there are other things that Gandalf doesn't know about the blade. Because the blade will also evolve and change over time. Or at least, like, more things will be revealed about it. So anyways, that is your first undertaking, which is to identify something. I think actually we had gather rumors and meet patron, but I said Gandalf would automatically identify this.
Okay. Interesting. Is there anything else you guys would like to do since we were gathering rumors and we got this identified? And
Gandalf will point to the gem. First of all, he asks to take parts of the armor and things that you found so that he can study it. And secondly, he that would reduce your wealth. But he also asks to take the gem. He says, Patrick, that gem, that also seems to be, it could be useful. Do you mind if I take a look? He, like, reaches for the gem.
But I found it.
I see. Well,
I
very well.
risked my skin.
He like leans back and covers up the blade and pushes the gem closer to your breast pocket. And then it's almost as if suddenly the smoke around the table kind of dissipates more. Doesn't seem as obscuring. He leans back and he says, very well. Others have been hurt in your absence by these marsh dwellers. I know a man in Archet. Are you familiar with this town? It's not far from here.
The Northerners.
Oh, yes, that's right. Just outside of Bree. There's a man there named Fitch Taltree. He's younger than all of you. A man, a Breelander. But his father was a good man. And I think Fitch would be valuable on your quest. For this season, we must gather information about our enemies. I have a suspicion from something long ago. But I need more information, and time is against me. I think you should go and travel to Archet and meet with my friend Fitch Taltree. Ask him. Tell him. People have suffered by these creatures. And ask him for his help. And I suspect, I hope, he has the heart of his father and the men before him.
Aye. Sounds like a good bloke.
He holds the respect of the people of Archet. A very capable young man.
So you've met him before yourself, Gandalf, have you?
Oh, yes. His father and some of his family were friends of mine.
Celifar nods and says, gives him some slight relief that someone has actually met this man. He wonders aloud of the degradation of these parts. Brings up the stable masters and others in this area. He
Yes.
wonders if the golden age is so far behind us that even what remains will decay and dwell.
Do you say that out loud?
Yeah.
Gandalf puts a hand on your shoulder and he says, "Even in days when the ancient glories of man fades, it remains to us to rekindle the fires of those times, of goodly kings, of high elves, of the workmanship of dwarves, of all the free people of Middle-earth. The people that have gone before have carried us very far. It falls on us now to keep the fire burning."
Well, all this gloomy talk calls for another whiskey.
Yes, let's have another round of we'll bring out that whiskey. Let's all have another round of it. Light the fires in ourselves so we can bring it to others.
Undoubtedly, you would had to have sold some of your treasures. And actually, I'm going back. I'm doubling back again. I'm gonna say that you did, so you had to have sold some of the stuff from the crypt to change your wealth. So, yeah, you have, which we won't go over, but you have that higher wealth status now. And Gandalf, he sees this and he just kind of sinks into his beard, into his cloak, sinks back into his chair, smokes, glowers, seeing you exercise this new wealth that came from somewhere. But yeah, everyone at the table has whiskey to drink.
Hero deserves a few rewards, no? Stuff my pipe with some pipe weed.
Bree slowly pushes it aside to one of the Dunedain.
Elves don't like whiskey.
Celifar will shrug and he'll kick it back and smile at his companions. And not all of us are like Gandalf. We aren't able to pull gold coins out of our pockets to stay in these civilized areas.
Let's see here. So, Bree.
Well, we can't drink the beer. And nobody drinks water.
The rooms here are comfortable. Now, you may notice that, like, a lot of time will pass. And I'm not keeping a strict record of how much time is passing or whatever, but this is just sort of in the course of you living, and the pace of life here in Bree is not incredibly fast. So you might do an activity, and then I might say, okay, and a couple days later, but this happens, you know, about a week and a half or so after you've returned. Gandalf seems to have come through. You have this conversation. You talk to the innkeep here, Paco, and you talk to the strangers who guarded the merchant. And the rooms at the Prancing Pony, as I mentioned before, the wood is sturdy. It does not creak. Every room has a fire. The pillows and the mattresses are stuffed comfortably. It is one of the most comfortable beds you've ever slept in. Despite being somewhat rustic and simple, it is kept perfectly, and it's also perfectly clean. And you awaken the next morning to a Bree in spring, which you wouldn't know from the how Breelanders are in this part of town, that they seem to be facing calamity. Just seems like a normal day here. But where would you like to go first? Or I can present some options.
Well, if we have some time, Rainey did suggest that we check out the farmers in this area. I like the sound of that, starting with that.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any other ideas about where you guys would like us to go?
Yeah. There is a local granary in the town, though, you mentioned, where all the farmers bring their grain.
Yeah, I like to imagine that might be more centrally controlled. That's more like a public good. So that it's part of the mayorship of the town. And so it would be something that would be on the, what's that part of town called? It's the...
Is that the one that we snuck into
Yeah, you
all
did.
those weeks ago?
It's called the Green. Wish I could show you all this map. But
Oh,
or at least scribble. But basically, Bree has this hill, and then it's got this like on the east side. Well, first of all, it's got the hill, and the hill is full of like hobbit holes. And then like there's a road that goes south of the hill called the Great East Road. And then Bree itself has this big berm, this of on the west side of it, it's got this hedge, like a big hedgerow that has been put into place, and then they put a like a pit to make it defensible. This place saw war many centuries ago, and they've kept it that way ever since. And so you have this east gate, and you've got a west gate. I'm sorry, a west gate and an east gate. On the west side of town is the old part of town called the Green, and that's where the mayor is, and that's where the Prancing Pony is at the west gate. And like the older parts of town and the wealthy farmers and stuff, kind of the establishment and the older families, most of whom are hobbits. On the east side of town, you have what's called the East Row, and it stretches out on the road east of the hill where the hobbit holes are. And that's where a lot of like foreigners and people that are kind of it's like the bad part of town, just to put it frankly, on the east gate. So the farms would be near the East Row, more specifically, or I'm sorry, not the East Row, the Green. It's called the... Where's Craftsman? It's, yeah, the Green. Do you just like head toward a farm? Like the biggest farm, knock on a door? You can do that.
Yeah, I suppose so. If
You can do that.
time can be if time passes kind of by days and weeks, perhaps what we could do is just spend each day visiting one or two of the farms and seeing what's up with them, doing a bit of investigating.
Okay.
Speak to the owners, gather some rumors, kind of not be too explicit when asking them if anything odd has happened around here, but ask if they've heard things and troubles from other farmers, other people bringing in issues with their grain.
And if we're doing it long term, Paco would like to go undercover and follow Fernie around. And we're supposed to go up to Archit too, right? And meet up with that guy.
That'll be the adventuring phase.
Got it.
Which, if I were to keep, I'm not, but if or in the future, if I ran, I would change how I do this. I can see now that there's some things that I could kind of squeeze together and other things that I wouldn't. And I think I would go like fellowship phase straight into the adventuring phase is what I would do in the future. And then I would not do any prep for the journey phase. That's actually what I would do in the future, but for this kind of like online 2.5 hour format. But anyways, yeah, that was your quest given by Gandalf to say, hey, for your next adventure, please go to Archit and like talk to this person, have them join your quest, which might require a council and a few other things. But anyways, so you go to the farms. There are in the green part of town. There's this like big open area, lots of Hobbit kids playing on it. And it's what do you call it? Manicured, like a lawn. And that big open space, you have the actual town hall, and that's why they call it the green. And if you go past the green, you find more green spaces where there are beautiful and lush farms in spring, and there are all sorts of flowers being grown, and the early stages of pipe leaf. And all of the kind of spring crops that are coming in early on. And the first farm you see acres of this of green, and it looks like it's probably one of the biggest farms. And you see here a house. I'm not sure how to describe it except to say that it is shorter than what would be appropriate for a human or a man or an elf, and otherwise quite large. And it has like one of these kind of like bulb-like appearances, like or dome-like, where you have like thatch and stuff that kind of overhangs, and then there's like a bunch of those in it, and essentially it's like a hobbit hole above ground. And yeah, and you see some hobbits out in front, some doing laundry, chatting with each other, and little hobbit children playing.
In that case, I suppose go up to the Hobbit children, ask them if their parents are here. The owner of this manor, this Hobbit manor, is here.
You are all quite strange and imposing. One of which says as much. You're quite strange and imposing. And then one little Hobbit girl, like, looks up at Dontharai, absolute wonder. She looks up at Dontharai and she says, Can you do magic?
Some say I am capable of it, yes.
And at that, she like runs around from behind her brother, having exhausted what courage she had. And the the little hobbit boy says, Great Aunt Matt is inside right now. They're trying to make the pies. But she's awfully grumpy today.
Celefarn will motion for Rainy, or rather, Dontherai, to take the lead then. You know, children and adults alike seem to be enchanted by an elf being around these parts.
You have who take the lead?
Dontherai.
Oh. Yeah, that makes a statement. Okay. So you open the door and enter into knock, of course, I imagine, and politely enter this hobbit house, and it smells overwhelmingly like sweet berries and butter and cream throughout the whole house. And there are some hobbit girls in their like skirts and dresses, and they are all looking very stressed out, all of them, and rushing about. All of them look like they have something to do. The smell comes from further into the house. Some of them look up to you as you enter, as you're welcomed in. One of them probably let you in and said, "Oh, I'm. Do you have? Are you here to meet with? Are you here to meet with Master Matt?"
And Paco could squeeze through. He's been lounging around and saying hi. Thank you. And how you doing, third cousin?
Oh, hello. Do you spend like the next 10 or 20 minutes establishing who you're related to?
Inevitably, it's inconclusive, but we can settle on a distant relation.
Yeah. It's a question of how much you want. You can determine exactly who these people are in the great kind of Byzantine hierarchy of Hobbit genealogy, or you can do a quick, no, we need to keep moving.
Well, we need to keep moving. I know we don't have all night. This could take hours.
So only 30 minutes then, right? Excuse me.
Don't let big friends scare you. They're actually pretty good people. We come investigating an odd thing. Have you noticed anything in your crops, or perhaps something new? We need to talk to Master Matt, I think, first.
Did Mr. Pickthorn send you? Or perhaps Captain Mindledeer? She kind of looks affronted that an investigation would be going on.
I overstepped my bounds. We'll wait till we talk to the good uncle.
Oh, Master Heathertoes then. And she runs off. Please excuse me, and she like bows a little bit, and which is not something a hobbit would regularly do, but she assumes that since an elf is there, that she ought to bow. And like these tall men and stuff. And so she runs out, and eventually a hobbit with a fancy coat and shirt, wrinkled face, silver hair. He looks distinguished, like a distinguished old statesman. And
It's my turn to bow.
he says, I'm sorry, but I think there must be some misunderstanding, my good fellows. If you're looking to do an investigation, I think you might be speaking to the Reeve Cole Pickthorn. I no longer hold that office.
Has it recently changed hands?
No, I've been retired for some time. But,
Enjoying your days away from the farmland, I suppose.
You said enjoying the days away from the farmland?
Yeah, is he enjoying his retirement?
Ha! It exhausts me. I would give just about anything to have that cushy job as a reeve again. The mayor of this town? Well, I won't speak ill of someone, but...
Oh, perhaps.
Yes, I should. Yes, I should, in
should.
fact. Yes, I should, in fact. And he like gets out some things to drink and sits down and like pulls up some chairs and like he starts gossiping. And
I was gonna say I'd like to persuade him to come along with us and flex his muscles, his
Right.
pull in the community.
Yeah, he says, no one wants to hear from old Matt Heathertoes anymore. Yeah, I'm just an old, doddering old man, and if you ask me, I think that we could do a lot more for business sake around here. First of all, and then he lays out like a whole business plan that no one will ever see or care about the east end of town. And he's just eager to talk about like everyone and everything and just gossip.
Straight up, as I'm saying, I would like to, if possible, attempt to persuade him to come with us on this brief investigation we're having. I bet he would give us a lot of what's the word for it? Validity in what we're doing, and I'm sure if he hears about the grain, he would be quite interested as well.
That's not very usable. Let's see here. Cellophane. I'm thinking you could do persuade, right? Yes.
Okay. Can I roll for it?
Yeah.
My physical dice. Okay. I'm favored in this, and I have 3 pips, so let's see. I got a 17 with one 6. What do you call those again? Great success?
Yeah. 17 with 1 6. So that hits your target number, obviously. And you've got a great success. So with a great success, you can gain additional insight. Like the way I look at it, it says like gain insight or widen influence. So you can bring more people, in fact, or you can send more people. Like you could basically create a network of investigation, or you can try to do, you know what I'm saying? Like, so widen influence, gain insight. You can make this go more quickly and cut some of the hobbit fussing and
that sounds like we should go with, because our characters have that task outside of town here. I'll use it to try to hurry this along, and hopefully what I'm guessing is if we don't find anything wrong with the crops themselves in any of these places, then maybe we can find workers who are aware of something that has gone wrong.
Do you ask him about his crops? He's a farmer, by the way. He's like the owner of the farm.
Yeah, we'll ask him about his crops, I suppose. We'll ask him if he knows of any issues with other people, and whether he'll come along with us to join us in the brief investigation.
Yeah, so he says, and once again, that like he's kind of affronted, but it's not an affront that you'll not survive. He's no dwarf. He just he's persnickety and fusses. Okay, so he's easily affronted and easily offended, but he's offended by the notion though that anything would be wrong with his crops, or any of the any of the things that are produced by the Feathertoe farm, or Heathertoe. And he thinks nothing's wrong with his crops. He thinks that probably, he says, if you ask me, I think that probably what's wrong with that beer is, well, it's just it's an odd year. or once in a while we get a strange year. You know, come to think of it, he gets a look in his eyes. It does remind me of something from a long time ago. Well, it couldn't be that. It couldn't be that. No, it's just a strange year, I think, but... so what is it that you're investigating exactly?
We'll hush our voices down, and we will tell him about the taint that we had discovered on the grain in the granary.
Oh dear. Well, that tells me that perhaps something was wrong with the granary. That tells me that, and I've been saying this for several years now, that the guards, they're overpaid and underworked, if you ask me. There's only 4 gatekeepers in the whole town, and they ought to have more guards in this place. Why, if we had more guards, he starts to go on a whole rant about how we need more security in Bree. And anyways, he thinks that it has to be like, you know, something to do with the granary itself, whether it's a crime or whether things aren't being checked properly at the market, and whether it's the storage or the buying part of it, that's what he thinks it is. And anyways, he's eager to go with you, and you're able to persuade him to trot along with you on an adventure.
Tainted grain.
That didn't come through too well. Can you say that again?
Tend to bring any of the tainted grain with us.
We don't have any. We'd have to sneak back in and grab some. Though perhaps with this guy in tow, we would be able to get right to it. Perhaps the guards would recognize his authority. What are you thinking with the grain?
If you propose that, he says, well, I think it comes down to we ought to go right away and speak to Mr. Cole Pickthorn. Why, he shouldn't be able to just sit there in that house paid for by my tax money and without doing his job proper. So it's about time that Mr. Pickthorn get to work, especially in advance of the autumn festival. We can't have things like this.
The telephone, and very quietly say, if I can get some of the tainted grain and come back to the farms, I believe I might be able to get a better lead than the hobbits who live in this area.
Well, the granary is it's guarded, so you'd either need to have the permission of the mayor, or you'll need permission from the captain of the guard, Captain Mindeldeer.
I prefer to help you with your crops. Hopefully, if you've heard about elves' ways with the natural world.
Oh, well, my lore of grain, I've been here for, 85 years. But I suppose you're interested to hear in the grain lore of an elf. But anyways, he's walking out with you all, and he's got his walking stick and hobbling along. And his approach basically is like to just charge right up to the town mayor and demand that something be done right away.
Could we we'll go to the granary and talk to that Picton guy.
To the what guy?
Pardon me, the person that runs the granary?
Oh, are you talking about the miller?
Yeah, Miller, pardon.
Oh, he doesn't run the granary. So the granary, I'm basically saying, is like a public utility. So it's on the green, and it's controlled by the mayor and the guards.
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
Yeah, perhaps we could get through the guards. Maybe just by having this guy with us. If you would go to the granary for that.
Yeah, you think about, like, instead of going to the mayor, go to the granary and try to intimidate the guards into letting you have access to it?
Yeah, I mean, we have the old master of the largest farm, and if these guards are as lazy and laid back as he suggests, then with a man of influence at our side, perhaps we could push right through them.
Okay. So you leave the farm and you walk your way back up toward the west gate to the green, and there's this, stone silos where they keep where they'll start gathering the harvest ahead of the autumn festival, which is essential to cycle through. For the animals and to survive the winter, or at least to do well at surviving the winter. So it is guarded by only one guard, and he starts fussing as soon as he sees this. He's like hobbling up, and the guard like yawns and then like gets to his feet and like kind of leans on an old pole arm. He's like, is that Master Matthew Heathertoes? And he's like, why, yes, it is Master Matthew Heathertoes. There, Sawyer. Why is there just one guard on this granary? Why? And then at that, the guard is like, Master Heathertoes, I don't mean any offense, but the mayor, and then like looks at him like, you're not the mayor. The mayor has posted me here, and we haven't had any incidents. So I'm is there something wrong? And he will say, he looks at him. He's like, why? These fellows here have said that some of the grain is turned. And then the guard looks at you all and is like, oh, is that so? And how would they know that?
This is the part where we need to goad the master into just yelling his head off at this guard while while some of us sneak around to investigate the inside.
What do you all think? Is that the plan? You'll want to like create a scene with the crotchety old retired mayor and then try to sneak in?
With that. In fact, I will volunteer to do it.
Wait him, just say, has he drunk the beer at the local tavern? Doesn't it suck?
he's like, nah, my wife doesn't really like for me to hang around there.
You understand.
So I'll just make it one roll, and Paco is like really good at this if you want to try it. So it's favored, and I see that, and you can make a stealth roll, Paco, and you can add an extra dice, and you don't have to use a hope point. If you use hope, you can add 2 dice. I don't know how you could fail that roll at that point. That breaks the game.
I'm not in game anymore. It kicked me out a while back.
Oh, sure. So I can tell you, you have a stealth is favored, so you would roll 2 d12s and take the highest, and you would roll 66s. Yeah, and add it to the result to try to get 16.
Oh shit. 7, 18. Oh, easily. I'm like way past.
Nice. So did you get any 6s?
2.
You got 2 6s. Okay. So not only are you easily able to like use this distraction here with the retired town mayor to like harangue this poor guard, to sneak around and get back into the granary and obtain a sample for Donthrai. But in addition to that, you can gain an additional insight. You can accomplish something wider, like you can do more. And actually, you can do 2 of those things. So you got 2 6s.
As a party, or just me?
Yeah, just you. I mean, this is something you're really good at. I don't mean to assume that, but like Paco was like really good at this. I don't know. I mean, I just assume.
I'd use my nose. I'd sniff around and look for smell for concentrations of foulness and rot.
Hmm.
And look for footprints and such. And
Okay. I'll stand by the door and keep an eye out for them.
Okay. You do that. You got your sample. Additionally, you find vermin. You suspect that like the load of grain could sour and go bad. And someone seems to not be acting on it, right? Additionally, you do find footprints. It does look like someone has poisoned the grain. And meanwhile, Donthrai, you see, while you're on watch... Actually, I'm sorry, this is one of those RPGs. Make an awareness check.
Okay, hold on. That's a 2. It's a second. I don't have issues with this dice bag. Wow, okay. That's never happened to me before. She wanting to open. There we go. Hold on, hon.
so, Ross, if I could clarify. So
I failed that one with an eye.
Gotcha. Go ahead, Darren.
No, so somebody was fouling the grain, but also somebody wasn't. It was an inside job because somebody wasn't upkeep.
Well, I'm not saying it's an inside job, but like, no one's going around town telling everybody, "Hey, watch out! The grain is soured," right? So, who's checking on it? Either there seems to be some negligence going on here, right? Like, so,
Can I whisper that to my comrades?
Yeah.
Let them know something's afoul. Definitely, it's at the granary. Someone's poisoning it. He said I found tracks.
Yeah, you see tracks going in, and you see vermin. The grain has been tainted. Now, Donthrai, so you failed the awareness test. So what you notice instead is just the fleeting form of someone dashing into a nearby home. And at this point, your cover's probably run out, and you probably have to like get out of here. And you got the sample because at this point, the guard is just like you can hear the guard coming, basically.
Oh, maybe at this point we can get away without the guard seeing us. Maybe now we should take the master with us to the current mayor, along with this proof that we have.
I would like to hold on to the tainted grain, if that's all right, Master Paco.
Yeah. I whispered to the others too. It's like it's more. This town has other places. The stableman, the granary. Butterbur seems a little strange. This Bill Fernie guy. I don't know if the mayor's. Is he on our side?
Well, at least we know this old farmer with us is on our side.
Does he
So
like
you're
the mayor?
What did you say?
I don't-
Does he
I
like
don't
the
think
mayor?
I don't think he's gonna have anything positive to say about the mayor after this.
This is like a 120-year-old hobbit man. He likes everyone and simultaneously is fiercely irritated at all times with everyone. He manages both things. I don't think there's a creature you've encountered that he hasn't expressed some irritation toward so far.
Probably wants to go home.
Yeah. Okay, so we got a proposal to go. Oh, go
Do we
ahead.
need him? We can send him home, probably.
Do you not want him with us? If we can have him with us, I think we should really keep him with us for wherever we're going, especially if we're talking to people in power around here.
Okay, we'll drag the old gaffer with us.
Witness as well. At least better witness because as outsiders, our words might not be trusted as much as a resident.
All right. So you keep him with you. Are you gonna go directly to the mayor, or are you gonna take a more circumspect approach?
Take him to the mayor. I have what I need. Everyone else can search around if they want to.
I say we go to the mayor, and Salafarn will keep a close eye out on if we're being followed, if anybody else scampers through the alleys away around us, any unwanted eyes.
Make an awareness test.
Sure.
Do we know about this stuff? Like, have we shared this information?
It's only us that we've shared it among, I suppose.
Just so I know if there's people watching us and stuff.
7-3 did not succeed.
Yeah. So you do see fleeting figures running into houses and shadows nearby, but you don't know who they are. You're not sure if you're being followed or watched or not.
Unless the others have a lot of concerns, I think that won't delay us, though. Straight to the mayor.
Okay. Let me actually look at the legend where the mayor is here. Let's see. It is here, I think. Okay. So this is on the west edge of town, across from the green, that kind of open, manicured place where the Hobbit kids come out and play. And there's a mansion here that also serves as the municipal kind of like place where all business and legal matters are done, of which there is very little here in Bree, in this sleepy place. I'm going to reset that. That is too much. There we go. So, if you go up and like knock and enter this nice place, it's well furnished, and the wood is polished, and it seems like it's like a combination of like cherry and oak, and there's all these old bookshelves, and you hear snoring in an office around a corner with a door open. And you see sleeping there with his feet up, a portly middle-aged man.
How does the man with us react when he sees the sleeping guy?
He is about to act in moments. You see him like clopping his walking stick toward this person. It looks almost like he's going to attack him.
Guys, do we stop him or do we let it go?
Well, hold yourself, gaffer. Let's wake him up first.
That's exactly what I intend to do.
Okay, then. Poke him if you will.
Yes, you see, he gets it. And then he, like, clops up, takes his stick, slams it on the desk, and, like, sends this guy, like, parchment from deeds and property things and ledgers and stuff go flying, and he falls back in the chair and falls down onto the ground, and then he waddles over to kind of peer down at this guy's a human, by the way, and he's like, well, Mayor Cole Pickthorn. And Cole looks up and he's like, Matthew, good to see you. What is the matter? What can I help you with? And he, like, gets up, gets his chair up, dusts his jacket off, and looks at you all, and he says, I'm sorry, what are these, caravan guards? Something wrong with one of the caravans again?
Philipharn will kind of draw all the gazes in the room intently to Don Thurai. After all, there's an elf in the chamber.
Yeah.
Will we really be caravan guards with an elf with us?
As soon as he sees an elf, he's like, an elf? Oh, hello. Sort of bows a little bit. Because, again, even this human doesn't know what to do. Now, elves have passed through here, but they have...
by repeating the bow.
Ah, yeah. And you would know that there are elves pass through here. I like to imagine, maybe this is like my interpretation of the Legendarium, but like, I know in the literal text that I have that like there are like one or two elves that have been entertained by one or two people over the years in Bree. That leads me to believe that the elves must have their own means of passing into the west, rather than just like marching straight through town. I don't think that's probably a very frequent occurrence. So there are like a couple of people in town that have relations with elves, but it is a rare thing, I think. But anyways, he says, whoa, two Dunedain too. Two of you tribesmen. He calls you tribesmen. Now, look, I don't want any trouble. What is this about?
You don't want trouble, but trouble has come to your doorstep. Or rather, the stone-walled silos of your granaries.
Whatever do you mean?
You know not what we speak of?
No.
Celipharn motions to Don Thurai. Do you wanna show him the grain that we found?
Yes, and not only that, but I believe that I can also use some of the elven art in order to find a trace of where the poison on this comes from. Assuming that Paco told Don Thurai.
Yeah, so if you present the grain, it is clearly turned and sour, and he looks at it. At first, he sees a clump of it, and he says, wow, something is wrong with this grain, and then this is something where ultimately he would want to see with his own eyes, and guards escort you to the granary, and he looks, and he sees a granary filled with vermin, and you think that when you look onto it and the sunlight is cast into the dark chamber of the silo, that you think it may be even worse than when you were here just before. And he says, oh no, what has happened to our grain? And
Make a roll.
at this Matt Heathertoe, actually, he goes up and he comforts the reeve, comforts the mayor, and like his hobbit hand like pats him at the small of his back regretfully. My thought is, so you want to use, what do you want to use, like lore, or which one is it?
I want to do is try to use my connection to the earth to trace the unseen thread between the rotten grain to the source,
Yeah.
if it pertains to the earth or spiritual matters.
Would you suggest that would be lore, or what do you think? What skill test? I think it'd be lore, shadow lore, even maybe.
Okay, yeah, I'll do inspired. I'll use Shadow Lore to be inspired. That gives me additional 6. Favored? Yeah, I'm favored there, so that gives me 4 die. Let's see. Alright, I passed it with 2 6s. And I'm going to spend a point of hope to use my cultural blessing to make that into a magical success.
Okay. Can you remind me what effect the magical success has, other than automatically succeeding? I think, right? Or
Actually, I'm not even sure.
Well-
Let me look at it myself.
yeah, you can look it up and add to this. You can also add your special success. So same as usual, you can kind of broaden the effect where it could cover more things that you would know, or you could gain an additional insight into this specific thing, or you could even do it in secret, like to where maybe the enemy wouldn't know, you know.
One to widen influence and another to gain insight.
Okay. What do you think that would look like? Like, what do you think you'd like to learn? Both something beyond just the connection between Earth and this sickness, and like something beyond that, and also knowing something else about it. What do you think it would be that you would want to know?
So what I'm trying to do is try to find the hidden link. Basically, if I were to close my eyes, I would see a thread in the spiritual realm going towards wherever the source of the poison is. Because all poisons have a natural source.
Okay. I think this requires 2 strange things, and because it's a magical success, you all see something wondrous that Don Therai seems to do. This is similar to what you asked them to do before, like, hey, can I have it? You know, can I do something with this? And on asking that they trust you, they follow you, there are 2 things that you need to do this with. One is that you go back to the woman you met now on the east end of town, because you need her tools. But she's not there, but the door is open. So, you know, reluctantly, as respectfully as possible, because it's so important, you go in and you're able to use her mortar and pestle and her, you know, her tinctures and things, and her pots, to be able to learn some things about this. You see him do things with herbs that, by all appearances, look like alchemy to the rest of you. And the second thing that you do is completely opposite of this. You take it and you go out, like, to maybe the most clean and open field you can, and you go before the sun in the sky. And you see Don Therai hold this up to the sky. And by means that is incomprehensible to the rest of you, Don Therai is able to gain an insight about this. And it confirms your suspicions. This is not natural. It is not in the earth. It is something unnatural and taken from outside the earth. It is a taint. It is a thing of shadow. And it was placed here. And someone has poisoned this town. And now you have another quest. as it becomes clear to both the retired mayor and the new, that without a new source of grain, this town could perish this winter. Not to mention, and I should also say the old mayor, he's like, this is like the thing that I I was worried about that. I remember from when I was a small lad, long ago, tales of a plague scoured the Bree land. And it was an echo from a time before when the lands were nearly emptied following the war with Angmar.
You suggest then that this might be happening elsewhere, not just in Bree. A famine across the lands.
Legends say that was the case. It was the final nail that ended the kingdom of Arnor. The three kingdoms fell, though your people were victorious against the witches of Angmar. They ultimately fell to plague. Some say it was them. They had poisoned something sacred, and it lasted here, and sprouted forth to wreak vengeance even in death.
Well, Paco, it sounds like we've got more difficulties than just the beer on our hands.
Yes. The Witch King of Angmar. He was dead.
Let's see. Additionally, as you travel back, having essentially discovered what's going on, something happens along the road. It looks as if the road is cut through with mud. It smells foul. And there are people here that are with shovels. And the mayor is just like, what has happened? What has happened here? And one of the men working at shovels says, hello, Cole. The sewage has broken. I've never seen it before. And Matthew says, that's not possible. The sewage is the best constructed and most well-kept north of Gondor.
Nice. Oh, this town is cursed.
What does it look like has happened here? Does it look like the sewers are completely swamped over from something before? Maybe this is related to the Marshmen and we should be examining around for what caused this? We're being pulled in a lot of different directions. There's a lot of stuff going wrong here.
Yeah, something has beset this poor town. I would imagine that you could, I can imagine lots of different approaches to this. You could do insight, you could do lore, just depends on what you want to do and how.
Investigation, I'd continue. I'm kind of treating this at a Sherlock Holmes moment. I was meaning to do some surveillance.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that being like a something like an insight skill test. You've got for Paco, you've got.
We have some suspects, frankly. So.
Yeah, and actually, the Glorifarn, I don't know if you want to. Is there anything you want to do in this situation? Got one in insight. Very good at persuade.
We have a crime. We have a crime scene. We have suspects. We have a couple leads.
That's true. I was kind of treating this as a Sherlock Holmes thing too. I mean, the grain I have no idea about. It could be the Marshmen coming and using the granary as a toilet for all we know. But the
Well,
sewage. That's something else.
There's intent. Like, this is multi-pronged. You know, it's hitting a lot of different angles. It's sophisticated. There's somebody in charge, and these marshmen are following orders.
That's true. I would say,
There's connections well, Bill Fernie, and there's, what's the other chap? No, just him, I think.
I think that's where we should start, by interrogating him. Because I kind of see we probably have two paths we gotta take here. The first one probably involves figuring out who is. The first one is definitely going to be rooting out who and what is causing the current problems, and only after we can take care of that can we secure a future for Bree.
Yeah, but
I think so. I would say we did as much with the grain as we can with the information we have for now. I think the grain and the sewage is linked. So we should see how the sewage line was sabotaged and see where that may take us, if that gives us any further clues as to what's going on here.
You can make a Glorifarn. You can make a, I would call it an insight skill test. Yeah, I think.
Ooh, okay.
Or you could do lore. I could see it being either.
I can do lore. I now have 3 in lore, and it's favored.
This is, if it's
Let's
lore,
see
it's going to be like what Glorifarn knows, you know, of the making of cities.
Okay, that might help narrow it down to where this happened, possibly.
I had to assist you with my lore too, and spend a hub point so you can gain additional dice.
Nice.
Okay. All right. I'll roll that extra dice. And that's wits. I passed.
You passed. All right.
With no successes, just pass.
All right. Yeah. It's clear to you that so they have sewage here, and it is the make of your people, of the men of the West. That is to say that it has lasted across generations. The only way for this to have happened is if it were to be intentionally sabotaged.
Okay, so no like natural weather phenomenon or anything like that could have just came up out of the blue and blocked it up.
Yeah, no, there's no
This
doubt
was intentional.
Yeah, there's no doubt in your mind at this point that there are saboteurs affecting this town.
Would it take particular skills to be able to even destroy the sewer line? Like perhaps only stone workers or something of that sort. Someone of that sort would know how.
Yeah, only someone who would actually understand the ancient workings of cities back in the days when this kingdom could build things like this. Could rupture it in such a way. And in addition to that, the other thing that's obvious to you is that, you know, not that they have incredible security here, but they've been able to utterly evade it, right? Like, they haven't been seen or found out at all. And it seems to have all happened, you know, by this town's standards pretty fast. That's all right. With that, you know, like, I lied. So this all happens within a day. I think that you all have, like, passed everything really well and made some clever decisions and found things out. You figure all this out within the first day. As evening comes and you make it back toward the green to try to figure out what to do, the mayor and the former mayor are cooperating and trying to work together and openly working with you at this point. They also, you know, especially if you tell them that you know Gandalf. And anyways, at night, perhaps, as you are heading back along the green, along the road toward the Prancing Pony, in a barn off the road, you hear screaming. And that is where we will end the adventure for the night.
Ooh.